That's right. Back at it again, Full Custom Hot Dog here doing another movie review. And we're going to be talking about the new Halloween Kills, which recently hit the theater, doing pretty well, even though it is streaming on that NBC Peacock app thing, service streaming. Anyway, this movie is fairly divisive from everything I'm seeing, though most of the people I know are in the same camp as me, where we are not enjoying this so much.
Move this man!
This is a rough trilogy. We'll talk about that, I guess. But directed by David Gordon Green, director of things like Eastbound and Down.
What the fuck is so funny? Who the hell is this?
I'm your new nightmare.
Working a lot with Danny McBride. I love Danny McBride. His sense of humor is right up my alley, just being a piece of shit, but being funny. And David Gordon Green has long been a partner of his in numerous projects. So it was a very odd choice when initially it was announced that he would be writing and directing this, and his partner, Danny McBride, would also help him write this, or they'd be writing this together. Very odd. And you could definitely feel it, especially while watching this one. The first one definitely had some inklings of humor, which wasn't so bad, but here,
What were they thinking?
boy, oh boy. We'll probably talk about that later. So, what is this about? Well, this picks up exactly where the last one left off. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Halloween 2018, they believe that they have caught Michael Myers in Laurie Strode's burning house and burned it down, and thus he would die. And of course, he did not, because evil never dies. And so he assaults firefighters, which is a rad scene. Some people complain about some of these Michael Myers quote-unquote fight scenes or action scenes. I think they work. It's a stronger part of this film. But he fights them and he's back on the loose. The town, meanwhile, of Haddonfield is whooped up into hysteria. Now, in this time, you also have a few things that work in this film's favor. One of which, in particular, are the flashbacks to 1978. I thought those worked very well, where we get to see some of the characters as youths, and even a Donald Pleasance, which isn't quite 100%, but for the most part works. I've seen much worse, and I think that works. It's serviceable. Bringing in Dr. Loomis in an appearance and showing him kind of dealing with what's going on at the time. It's sort of what happens after the original Halloween, because if you didn't know, Halloween 2018 takes place directly after the original Halloween, or I guess years after the original Halloween. It ignores all the sequels, which watching Halloween Kills, I think that's a bad call. And the reason for that is just because they really try to sell you on this idea that they know that Michael is this supernatural killer because he went on a little killing spree.
I'm a killing machine.
And I never buy it in these movies, especially there's a quote in this film where someone says, he's like an animal. He'll do this, this, and this. And you don't really know that. We haven't experienced him in any of the sequels because there are no sequels. We only know what we do from that one night. And then there's legends and rumors. I almost think this movie would have been stronger had it just played off of years of legends being told about him, and maybe the town is a little bit more worried or cautious around Halloween because of this legend that some of them had experienced, as opposed to him being sprung upon the town. They're building off of a legacy that's not there, and that's when this film irks me the most, is treating it like we've been there through all the sequels. I think it's a bad call. There's also the town experiencing paranoia, dealing with Michael on the loose and not being sure who, which is strange because it's as if no one had seen a photograph of him, as they mistake another loose prisoner for him, which was a detail that I don't even remember in the original. I guess it is in there, or a detail in the Halloween 2018, excuse me. I guess it is in there, but I don't remember that at all. Where the town's worked into a frenzy, which I think almost works, but still falls flat as just being incredibly cheesy. Some things do work very well, though. I mentioned the Michael massacring firefighter scene. I think that works very well. A scene where a bunch of townspeople fight Michael. I think that works. One positive. There's very few positives for me with these Halloween movies. I'll just list them off really quick. Number one, soundtracks, A++. You got Carpenter back with, I think, his son, and then some other person, I don't know who. Those soundtracks are absolutely killer. This one, the last one, 10/10 all the way. I love the portrayal of Michael in these. And it feels like it's familiar but new, because he's very much a machine, a total killing machine in these. And I like that. His mannerisms everything feels a bit more than we've ever gotten from him in the past. It's never felt quite this mechanical, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. I think I said this in my review of Halloween 2018, but he just feels like this locomotion of destruction, just this, on this path of just killing. And I almost wish there was a little bit more. One of my problems with this movie is every scene is set up with whoever the victims are going to be, and then they say a couple things, so you're like, haha, they are funny, I like them, and then they die. And it's almost like David Gordon Green's kind of a weak attempt to make you go, I like these characters, I don't want them to die, by trying to get you to laugh at them because you're going to want to see them next, but then they die, and you're supposed to be kind of bummed, I guess, about that loss, but kind of weak in my opinion. Doesn't really work, cheapens it. Too much lightheartedness also throws off some of the scares that could be had, because there's some moments that I found pretty goose pimple inducing, some that I thought were creepy, and then boom, some chuckling, some funny times. I almost wish David Gordon Green would settle on if he wants to make a horror comedy or a horror movie or a comedy, because I think it just does not work here, in my opinion. While I was watching this, I definitely recall thinking, man, this guy's going to be doing an Exorcist movie, and I kind of wish he just wouldn't.
God, if you listen, help!
Because I don't want this with Exorcist. It's not going to work, and I hope The Exorcist is played a bit more straight. And I think Halloween should be played a bit more straight. You do have some moments of levity throughout every horror film. You have to have that, right? Because you have the tension, and you have the moments when you're just feeling nothing, and then a scare, And I don't think these comedic elements work here. The kills, the gore, all of that is fairly brutal in here. Michael is maybe at his most brutal in this film. Just like I keep saying, just a destructive force. These are probably the first films where it feels like he is this destructive force of nature. Now, minor spoilers, they do start to get into what his deal is towards the end, where it sort of starts to go into the supernatural territory. One of the strengths of 2018, Halloween 2018, was, to me anyway, was that he is human. Now, in this movie, they're going, oh, well, maybe he's not human. He's something more, as you see him take a degree of punishment. Every time I'm watching people fight a supernatural entity, I'm always thinking, cut off its head. Why aren't you cutting off its head? And I feel like a lot of this could have been alleviated had somebody just done that. But no, we start to see him kind of power up. You're probably picturing something crazy like Cannonball, like a SSJ Michael Myers, or a Super Saiyan Michael Myers. That's not the case, but we do just sort of see him come up from some pretty terrible, debilitating attacks, and we don't know why. So we can assume that they're going to answer any of that in Halloween Ends. I feel like you have to. I feel like once you bring that stuff in the mix, I can't see you doing a trilogy without addressing any of that. I don't even think they started shooting the last film yet. I think that's still in pre-production. I think they're even still on a finishing draft or something. I thought I heard David Gordon Green and Jason Blum were on Joe Bob recently, the Halloween Hoedown, whatever that was, and I think they mentioned that on there. So I don't know. I don't. The ending here is an interesting thing to talk about too. Some people say, "Oh, people are mad because it's a cliffhanger." Some people don't. No. This is the best ending since Empire Strikes Back.
Bitch, are you for real?
Which is odd. I think this is a terrible ending because it's not a real cliffhanger. It ends with someone being a victim, and I don't know if they think it's a cliffhanger because it's a main character. So then you're supposed to go, oh no, now what? But Halloween 4 easily has the best cliffhanger ending in the Halloween series, and it's a pretty good ending probably in horror, period. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it too much, but someone else basically becomes the next Michael Myers, so you're left wondering what happens in the fifth movie. And the fifth movie comes out and ignores all of that, so F it, I guess. But that's a good cliffhanger. A cliffhanger should make you really want the next movie because it's posing a question and you want it answered. The only reason I want to see Halloween Ends, or whatever the third one, I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be called, is just because this film feels incomplete. This film almost feels unnecessary, really, because Halloween 2018 sets it up. Nothing really happens in this movie that I feel furthers it along besides saying Michael's still alive and he's out committing acts of hijinks this evening. He is just trolling the neighborhood, troll face. And so I feel like you could probably skip this movie. I don't see why we needed this to bridge the gap other than let's make some money. I don't think... I feel like you could have condensed this and then combine whatever you wanted to do in Halloween Ends and make it work. Because characters at the end of Halloween 2018 are still in the same place at the end. Nothing happens here, really. You get scenes of a mob that's been whipped up by Tommy Doyle. One of the only characters that had come from the original not being played by the person originally playing them. It's Anthony Michael Hall in this one. Famous actor. And he whips everyone up into a frenzy, and tonight, evil dies. Evil's gonna die tonight. And I get that. That's pretty neat, I guess. I like the idea of that Haddonfield militarizes itself, essentially, to combat this threat. There's a lot of dumb things. Horror movie logic happens in this film, and it kind of drives me nuts. And the only reason this film it drives me nuts is because this movie's so grounded. At least it feels grounded, right? I think so. Other movies I can give a pass because they just feel so much stupider that they're in on the fact that they're a dumb horror movie. But this almost feels like it wants to be an elevated horror movie, having you focus on this family, on the Strode family. One of the positives also in Halloween 2018 is that I did kind of like the dynamic occurring in the Strode family and seeing the effect that Laurie Strode's paranoia had on everyone else. None of that really comes through here. A lot of that character development that was one of the stronger points of 2018 I felt is absent from Halloween Kills, and that it does have a little bit more character work, or is trying to give you more character work across characters, but ultimately does nothing, as there's a pretty high body count, which is a plus. And again, solid violence, some great Michael moments. I liked so many things. The cinematography was great, some great visuals, some great stills, I think, exist for this film because it looks damn cool at times. But overall, this just falls flat. And I know some people are loving this and just going nuts. I saw this opening night because it's a new Halloween, and I didn't expect to like this because I didn't like the last one. And I won't say that I went into it closed-minded. I just know what I'm getting. Another Halloween film from Danny McBride and David Gordon Green, so I felt like I knew what to expect. But I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. Overall, this is a miss for me. I don't know if I liked this more than 2018. They're just about... I probably like 2018 a little bit more because I understood what it was trying to do. And this one, I just... feels like a filler episode almost. Let me know what you think in the comments. Of course, I'm your host, Full Custom Hot Dog. You could follow me on Twitter. It's Full Custom Hot Dog without the last O, because that's just too long for Twitter. So thank you all for watching, and until next time. If you like what you see,
I love what I see.
make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you can watch whatever comes next. And if you like the music you hear, you can follow me on SoundCloud and Spotify. Check the description for links.